landmark decision, the Supreme Court has favoured the women for the permanent commission in the Indian Army as well as the command positions. Today, we are having with us Major General Bhakuni, who has been the interviewing officer, president and the commandant of the Selection Centre South. So, welcome General. Thank you for joining us. In the wake of the matter, how do you feel about the situation?
I feel I very heartily welcome the Supreme Court decision. Rather, it has been a little late. Look at this. We inducted the women officers way back in 1992. They are virtually serving in all the arms and services, at least combat support arms and services, except the fighting arms. So, since 1992, we have come a long way. And there are good about nearly 1,500 to 2,000 lady officers who are doing a wonderful job in the armed forces. So, granting a permanent commission, perhaps after the court cases, may have been too little and too late. But I am happy that the court has also given a ruling that the women officers will be considered for command positions also. So, it is a wonderful decision. The women officers who really fought for this in the court must be congratulated, and the army will soon see perhaps more number of officers and serving them for a much longer time. Lady officers will be earning their pension also, and they will be in much more higher and responsible positions, including the command positions.
Would you please like to elaborate on the command position?
The command position basically implies, the CO, commanding officer, is the most powerful man in the Indian Army. Ultimately, he is the one who executes the orders. The buck stops at the commanding officer. So, he is the one who is the actual person who executes orders. Therefore, he has a very significant role in the armed forces. Now, the lady officers, whether they are in the ASC or in the ordnance or in the signals or in the Army Education Corps or maybe in any services, will rise to the rank of commanding officer. But of course, there is one thing you must note down there. Even for the male officer, there is a board after the lieutenant colonel, and it is the board who selects the officers whether they are fit to become the commanding officer or not. So, similarly, the women officers will have to undergo this board. If they are found suitable, yes, the woman officer now will become the commanding officer. And imagine, in Indian Armed Forces, we will have a lady officer soon as a commanding officer, which is a welcome decision.
So, talking of the command positions in the army, as you served in the Selection Centre South, did you ever see a female officer in the rank of a president of any board?
Not yet. Yes, the women officers have been inducted as a psychologist. Now, very recently, they have been inducted as GTOs, but soon they will be, you'll find them in a more important position like the deputy president, the president. It's a matter of time, and they will also be interviewing officers in the due course of time.
With the recent permanent commission decision, and we also saw that the women Jawans were inducted, I want to ask you, why is the vacancies of the women officers not being increased? I know about the CDS entries, which are the UPSC entries. The seats are limited to 12 to 15. So why are they not being increased? I know some people who have been recommended 6 times, 7 times, and they are still unable to make it until their last attempt because they don't come in the merit list.
Kavita, yes, your point of view is correct. I myself as a commandant has seen a lot of women officers getting selected, but somehow they don't find their name in the merit list. In fact, I know a lot of them who keep getting selected. There are 4 to 5 times they have cleared the service selection board, but due to limited vacancies, they are not able to make it in the merit list. The same thing doesn't happen about the male officers. Male officers, once they crack the SSB, they are sure, they are certainly going to go to the NDA or IMA. It's very rarely that they will not make it in the merit, because the number of vacancies for the male officers is fairly large, and most of the time they are not even filled. So there is a point here that we should consider in enhancing the seats of the women officer, because at least they are more number are getting selected, and it's time now from 1500, I think we need to consider their ratio, which is just 3 to 4% as of now. We may go to begin with 5, and ultimately we should go up to 7 to 10% in due course of time. It may not happen now, but I am pretty confident that in the days to come, Indian Armed Forces are going to open up, and it is going to follow the similar line which the Western countries had followed. It's just a matter of time.
Do you think these decisions are taking women closer to the combat arms in the army?
Yes, Kavita, if the Western Armed Forces can have their women in the combat arms, that is the fighting arms, particularly infantry, armored, and mechanized infantry, or even artillery. So, but perhaps, sorry to say, as of now, my opinion is it is going to take little time, because Indian Armed Forces has to be administratively ready for it. And let me tell you here, even the Western Armed Forces have, though they have opened it in the combat arms in a gradual fashion, and let me tell you, culturally, socially, they are in a different plane altogether. Are we ready for it mentally? Are culturally, the way we are taking our Jawans from the village background, and also, are we socially ready for it? Are we administratively ready for it? There are numerous pros and cons on this, numerous issues involved in this. Though I am fully in support that in due course of time, they have to come to the combat arms. But let me tell you, if they come to the combat arms, one thing we should be sure, that the physical standards which is met by a normal Indian Army officer has to be met by them also. And you will agree that even the Western countries perhaps are not giving the kind of role which are to be assigned to the male officers / male Jawans. Any attack across the border, a combat fight with the militants, even those who are in the Air Force, launching them across the border in the enemy territory, even the Western Army has their own restrictions. So can we suddenly change the scenario to such an extent that we are not able to handle it? So it has to go firstly in a gradual fashion. There is no problem on that. It will take minimum 10 to 15 years. And the second thing, I am convinced that the physical standard which are met by the male officers / male Jawans should also be met by the female officers and Jawans. If they meet it, well, there is no problem at all.
If women have to be inducted in the combat roles, what do you think are the practical challenges that the army will have to face?
Kavita, let me tell you, as of now, why the scenario in the fighting arms or combat arms like infantry, armored, even artillery and mechanized infantry, scenario is entirely different. Look at this now. In a tank, you have a crew of 4. Now there is going to be a mixed crew. You can imagine its implications. In a bunker, where the entire Indian Army, particularly in the northern border and to an extent in the western border, even today, is virtually occupying the LOC, line of control. And look at this, they are in bunker. All those bunkers are going to be mixed, or we'll have to create separate bunkers for the women. Why the differentiation there? Similarly, each supporting weapon has a crew. An MMG weapon which has got a crew of 3, a mortar has a crew of 3. Similarly, ATGM has a crew. Similarly, even LMG, which is the light machine gun, has a crew. So this all going to be mixed. What implication it is going to have? Are we ready for this? The administrative setup, creating separate set of bathrooms for the girls. They will need a changing room, unlike the Jawans which do it in the same barrack, because the facilities are limited. So these are administrative constraints. And now you can imagine that those field conditions where virtually they have to create sometimes the position during exercises, even during war or combat, all facilities will have to be created by yourself. You are on your own. There is no facility at all. Will they able to survive? The women only apply for the combat support role, oblique the services role. They particularly avoid this because all understand that even the kind of role the women units are assigned, they will be physically little less challenging. You can see in the field of sports, I must give example, or the Olympic records, wherever it comes to the physical thing, I think naturally perhaps the man has been gifted a little better. You may disagree. I am not in any way trying to denigrate the woman here, but these standards are naturally given. Anywhere you need a physically demanding job, I think the men's unit will be able to do better. And that's the reason in America, if you check the Googles, the mixed regiments where women and men are mixed could never match the standard of the pure male units. So there is going to be a difference. So are we able today mentally, socially, culturally ready to send our women across the border to fight? What will be the implication if they become prisoner of war? Are the women will be able to fight in a high intensity kind of insurgency where there are chances of their being captured? Even let me tell you, most of the Western countries in the Air Force also, the women are pilots. Like we, Indian Air Force inducted 3 pilots to begin with in 2016, a welcome decision. But are they going to be assigned a role which is across the border? Even they have reservations. So we should not blindly copy the Western countries. Though I welcome these steps, but I feel a bit of rationality is required in this. We got to be practical, we got to be rational. It is not a question of equality. Along with equality is a question of rationality. And we got to move towards this gradually. And watching each of our step and checking whether how far they are going to help us overall in the improvement of Indian Armed Forces efficiency. That we shouldn't forget. We talk about Israel, which is a leading country which has given maximum role to the women officer. In fact, for women it is compulsory, but for women it is a compulsory service of 2 years, for men it is compulsory service of 3 years. So even in the Israeli army, out of the total number of women in the combat role, there are only 4%. You can imagine 96% of women have voluntarily opted for combat support role. And the same happens in most of the Western countries. I agree with the viewpoint that yes, it should be kept open. Option is with the women. Whether if they find they like it, there are courageous and adventurous women who may opt for it. But the standard in no way should be compromised. That's all is my point of view. And we should venture into this in a gradual fashion.
In the wake of this judgment and everything else that is going around, why should women opt more for a career in armed forces and why should they choose it?
Let me tell you, Kavita, not only for the women, even for the males and females equally, the armed forces today is the best career option. And let me tell you, if you take the interview of these lady officers who are serving in the army, they will echo my feelings. It is the most respected profession today, most popular, highly paid, most adventurous, and the kind of respect the women officers have in the armed forces. And plus, let me tell you, it's the most satisfying job they are doing. They are highly successful in the Corps of Signals, intelligence, JAG branch, education branch. Maximum officers are in the JAG and education. And similarly, Army Supply Corps, Army Ordnance Corps, even now in engineers. So they are virtually gradually expanding their wings and gradually forming part of the different arms and services, and now rising higher and higher will have the command position now. It is going to be far more attractive for them now once they become the commanding officers. So, armed forces undoubtedly for women officers will be most challenging, most interesting and most respected. I am pretty sure with this judgment now coming up, more and more women officers are going to opt for the armed forces. And let me tell you, the armed forces are also going to expand and welcome the women officers in variety of fields. And their number is certainly going to increase. I am confident about that. The next step perhaps the government is due to take and must take is increasing the vacancy. The deficiency of officers can easily be made up by the women officers. Large number of them get selected but not able to make it in the merit. If they gradually expand it to begin with only in the services and in the some supporting arms, so it is going to help the armed forces as well.
Thank you for being here and giving us your frank and forthright opinion. So, and I also hope that seeing this, more and more women will be inclined towards joining the army. And I'm sure that that the day is not far when women will be there in the combat roles too.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope that you found it useful. Don't forget to share it with your friends. Do also leave us a comment down below with suggestions for future videos. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell icon so that you don't miss any of our future videos. If this was one of the first videos that you saw from SSB Sure Shot Academy, I would be very happy to inform you that we have two state-of-the-art campuses, one in Bangalore and the other one in Hoshiarpur, Punjab. There is a third branch also coming up in Rudrapur, Uttarakhand. In all these branches, we have state-of-the-art campuses with a full-fledged GTO ground as well. All the instructors at all these branches are elite ex-armed forces officers with years of experience behind them. So every month we have 3 batches of a 12-day SSB course. Apart from that, we also have weekend courses for people who are working professionals or are students. Apart from that, we also have a 4-day GTO course, and we also organize a PPDT and GTO overview for a very nominal charge. We also have written exam courses for NDA, CDS, FCAT, INET and the Territorial Army. Apart from these, for the people who cannot make it over to our academy, we also organize online personal interviews which will be taken by Major General VPS Bhakuni, who is also a former commandant of the SSB Center in Bangalore. We also have an online psych test. If you really want the worth of your money, then I would suggest that you go for the online interview and the psych assessment test combo, which you can avail for a discounted price. So if you're interested to know more about any of these courses or the online interview, make sure that you give us a call on the number which is appearing on your screen. You can also drop us an email at info@ssbshoreshot.com. Follow us on Instagram for all the latest updates from our academy. Once again, if you found this video helpful, make sure that you give it a thumbs up and make sure that you subscribe for our future videos. Till then, goodbye and take care.